and we are getting ready for day 3 of the Barry Morphew preliminary hearing. So we kind of wanted to go over the timeline of what we know so far of the week of right before Suzanne went missing, and kind of, what followed as far as what happened from what we've learned from the first 2 days of the preliminary hearing. And then we wanted to talk about also what we can expect for these next 2 days of preliminary hearing. So please comment as we kind of get people in to stream. I don't ever tell people that I'm doing this. I just kind of go ahead and do it. So I don't give you guys a heads up. I probably should. Anyways, tell us where you're watching from. We'd love to know where you guys are tuning in from. Tomorrow's a big day, someone says. So we have a lot. So I took all my notes as well as her notes, and I compiled it in a timeline. And so we're going to go over that as well as kind of talk about what I know for these next 2 days of the preliminary hearing for Barry Morphew. So, hi, wow, people are from Alabama, Australia, Washington State, South Carolina, Tennessee, Utah, Mississippi, Dallas, Sydney, Australia, Dublin, Ireland. Oh, wow. Wow, that's awesome, guys. Georgia, California, Indiana, Texas, Florida, all over. All right, wow. McFlurries for tomorrow. Yeah. Thank you. If you watched our last YouTube live, we always stop at a McDonald's on the way home to kind of celebrate us finishing our job, and so
it's a nice little treat for the drive home.
Yeah, so people have been giving us Blizzard bucks or whatever, so we appreciate it. Thank you so much. Okay, so can you kind of watch the comments if people have we'll answer questions at the end, but if you have questions, she'll try to look at them and kind of remind me. So someone's already asked, what if the state doesn't have enough time to call all the witnesses? I think they've cut down their witness lists. I don't think they're going to call all the people that they had expected. The judge made it really clear that they are going to only have 4 days for this preliminary hearing. They don't get more time. So they're going to have to cut back on how many witnesses they're going to call. And I believe they're going to call more witnesses tomorrow, of course. And I think it's going to be a lot of investigators. So, okay, let's go through the timeline. So these are kind of quick facts. Suzanne wanted out of the marriage. She was having an extramarital affair. They talked about it a lot on the prelim day 1. So let's move on from that. Neighbor alerts authorities of Suzanne missing. Barry Morphew did not. It was the neighbor. And that was something that the state very much said. He never called law enforcement. He never called police. They honed in on that a lot. The home surveillance cameras were not working. County Road 225 was not taped off. This is something that the defense really harped on. They talked about how all the law enforcement vehicles were, driving on County Road 225, and they found the bike, Suzanne Morphew's bike, on Sunday, a few hours after Suzanne was missing, reported missing, and Mallory bed sheets were stripped. There was a cap to a tranquilizer dart found in the dryer. There was no blood found throughout the entire investigation. Helmet was found Thursday, 0.84 miles from where the bike was found, off of County Road 50. That again was found on Thursday. No human blood was found in Barry's truck, and it was checked by canine handlers. They haven't explained exactly what type of canines those were, if it was a cadaver dog or if it was, just dogs that look for bloods or drugs or what. They haven't talked about exactly what type of canines those were. They said that they were from El Paso County, though, which is in Colorado Springs, near that area.
Just a heads up too, somebody asked about it. It's going to be just like last time. This will not be public as far as, a recording or the video of the hearing. The only people that are allowed to see it online are Suzanne's family and people that were given permission. So this will not be broadcast. So that's why you guys definitely want to follow her tweets. And then obviously we'll be broadcasting it on Fox 21 at the end of all of it, but if you want to keep up with a lot of it, just make sure you follow her Twitter.
Yeah, and my, here's a question. Oh, someone's asking for our opinion. So, yeah, if you need to follow my tweets, it's at Lauren Scharf TV. I'll be giving live tweets and updates and stuff. Thank you so much, Executive Session, for your donation.
Official.
Yeah, wow. I don't know if this went live. Okay. So we're going to start the timeline January of 2020. Barry searched on his phone, find a cute girl in Salida. There was also some search history for Ashley Madison, as well as Celebrity Jihad, which is, I guess, a porn site.
Yeah.
For celebrities that I guess the Islamic extremists find these nude photos or nude video of celebrities and post them there. Yeah. Suzanne told Sheila, her best friend, that she wanted a spy pin and she wanted to catch Barry allegedly in conversations in Barry's truck. And so that's why she wanted this spy pin and asked her friend Sheila I'm going to order this, but I'm going to send it to your house and then I'll get it, let's say, in Florida. So that was not until February of 2020 when she got the spy pin from her friend. There were 11 deleted files and 2 files that were deleted that the FBI had recovered. And one of which was the conversation, multiple hours with Suzanne's lover, Jeff Libler. And then there was also 11 saved files as well on that spy pen. And it was found in Suzanne's closet. Yep. And this is something I just have a question. Was Suzanne and Barry's closet separate? Or was it...
Because the whole point was for her to put it in Barry's truck to pick up conversations. So then why was it in the closet? Did she put it there because she was trying to catch something else? Or did he find it and put it somewhere?
I want to know if Barry and Suzanne's closet are like a walk-in closet, or do they have separate closets? Anyway, so that's something we don't know yet. February 4th, Sheila is with Suzanne in Florida, and Suzanne picks up the spy pin from Sheila. There's also in February recordings of Barry Morphew driving in the truck, listening to radio, and he hears clips that's like forensic files or a news clip of something that he's listening to, a criminal case on the radio, and it's about someone going missing while bike riding. This is February of 2020. Someone just gave us something. Aw, thank you so much, Tina. Really appreciate it. Oh, this is your...
Love you, Tina.
We know the last name very well. Well, thanks so much for watching, Tina. Okay, so March 10th of 2020, Suzanne would track Barry's phone, sometimes put it and mention that he would sometimes put it on airplane mode to avoid Suzanne tracking his phone.
That was a really common thing that they brought up, was that the fact that his phone was on airplane mode the day she went missing was not a surprise, because that was something he did often in the past. So
thank you.
You can't really see it as, a weird thing that he did that day, because I guess that was something he did quite often when they would get in arguments.
So March 22nd of 2020, according to the first 2 days of the preliminary hearing, Suzanne had, had a recording from the spy pen of them arguing in the truck about money. Mm-hmm. And the defense had mentioned something like 80% of the arguments that Suzanne and Barry had was about financial issues and stuff.
Whether it related to her medical bills or, loans on houses and stuff like that Barry still needed to pay back to Suzanne. That was just a really common theme that came up when they would argue.
Thank you, Marilyn, for that. We appreciate that. March 25th, 2020. 11:03 a.m. Suzanne tells Sheila, her best friend in Indiana, it's been rough around here. Calls it stressful, their marriage, and something about Macy had begged Suzanne to divorce Barry. Mm-hmm. This is in a text message that Suzanne had sent to Sheila. Suzanne also had said in the text messages that she felt unequipped to get out of the marriage, and she called Barry a narcissist and said that she can't be healthy if she stays in this marriage. So
just answer that one question too. I'm sure a lot of people are wondering why Suzanne would record her conversations with Jeff. So the way that they described the pen was that it wasn't something where you click a button and start recording it, which is why a lot of the time she just left it in Barry's truck. So
voice activated.
Yes, it was voice activated. So there were probably a lot of times where she was either on the phone with Jeff or something, and the pen was around and it just triggered it, and so it started recording. So that's how they found out about Jeff, I think, right, in the first place, because they heard her having conversations with him and then started looking into who's this other guy that she's talking to.
Yeah, investigators didn't even find out about Jeff until 6 months after Suzanne had went missing, and they didn't even interview him until November.
Yeah.
So that's a lot of time that they didn't know about him.
And they didn't even know about the pen until Sheila brought it up, because she remembered Suzanne saying that she was going to get one, and then they found it and then started listening to the recordings on it.
And Suzanne didn't tell anyone about this extramarital affair, not even her best friend Sheila. Okay, so let's move to April 21st. There are 20 messages between Jeff Libler and Suzanne. April 23rd, there's Suzanne had opened a bank account, Green Dot. It's like an online bank account, and registered a fund management with Royal Compass Management. So she was preparing to leave.
And the beauty of that too is the way that the investigators described it was Green Dot works in the sense that you don't have to have a bank account linked to it like a lot of other financial apps and stuff like that. You can withdraw and deposit money without it being linked to an account. So I'm sure that was her way around Barry finding out that she was doing a lot of this, because there's no trace of it.
Mm-hmm. And then let's move to May 5th. So we're talking the week Suzanne went missing. This is very, very important. There's going to be a lot of information in these next few days. Tuesday, May 5th, Suzanne drops Macy off in Gunnison at Mallory's place, wherever she lives, for their road trip across the multiple states with one of Mallory's college friends.
Yeah.
So from Tuesday until she goes missing, she is with Barry Morphew.
Alone.
Yeah.
Yep.
Wednesday, May 6th, 10:13 a.m., Suzanne texted Barry, "I'm done. I could care less about what you've been up to for years. We need to figure this out civilly." Now, this text is very, very vital because Barry Morphew deleted it. And also, Sheila had mentioned to investigators when she was getting interviewed that she never said this out loud. This was the first time that she said it out loud and that she meant it. You know, like, if she was going to say it so, like, out loud, she meant it. Barry responded, "I love you, always have." At 2:43 p.m., Barry is at the Tailwinds property in Poncha Springs. At 3:51 p.m., Barry sends a suicidal text to Suzanne saying, "I'm sorry things went the way it did. When I'm dead, which won't be long, you will be taken care of, going to see my savior. This life on earth is mere grain of sand compared to eternity. I promise you are wrong about all the crazy thoughts about me. Only a fool would stray from an angel like you." And as well, on this day, Jeff Libler also sent Suzanne a message on LinkedIn that said, "I know these next few days are going to be rough." So obviously, Suzanne had been talking to Jeff Libler about, you know, being alone with Barry. Hey, Teresa. Good to see you on here. Hope you're doing okay. I'm hoping to be in Florida soon. So, anyways, so Thursday, now we're going to go to Thursday, May 7th. And at 7:25 a.m., Suzanne messaged Jeff Libler about how magical the last few days have been. We don't know if she's talking about when she, video chatted with Jeff, or if she just messaged him we're not really sure what the last few days she meant about that. Barry Morphew, I guess, had been texting about getting a new truck. He also attempted to call Gene Mormon, which is Suzanne's dad. And then also Mallory sends pictures of, the girls on their road trip to Utah, and, had messaged both the parents saying, finally got a job, or got the job.
And neither of them responded, which I thought was interesting because apparently this was a job she had really been looking forward to and was really excited about and had brought up multiple times that she was interested in getting. And so the fact that she finally got it and told them and neither of them responded, I think is a little interesting.
Yeah. So let's move on to Friday, May 8th. Now at 7:02 a.m., Suzanne had wrote like a grievance list of like 50 reasons why she was wanting to leave the marriage. Mm-hmm. Some of them was like a wedding ring, a lot of women that Barry Morphew has on Facebook.
His excuse was that it was good for business, and that's why he had so many female friends on there.
And I had learned from some people that, she couldn't do that. Like, she couldn't friend a lot of guys on Facebook and things like that. She was recovering from cancer with Barry in the picture. It made her health decline, supposedly. She also said there was on the list, he accused her of having a boyfriend, and there was an incident that he tried to take her phone in Mexico and look at it. Just obviously some issues with their marriage. At 10:02 a.m., Suzanne called Barry and talked for 3 minutes. At 10:05 a.m., Barry called back 4 times. So maybe that conversation didn't end well. Yeah. I don't really know. At 10:09 a.m., Suzanne called, and it lasted 46 minutes. And I guess in that conversation, Barry had asked Suzanne to stop by his work site and bring some drinks. And
just to kind of see the work that he was doing, just to show her what it was.
She said that she was studying and wanted to take a bike ride, so maybe she would meet up later with Barry. And she did, I guess. 10:55 a.m., Barry had texted her saying, "I love you, Suzanne." At 1:18 p.m., Barry sent a text to this guy who works at Salida Stove and Spa,
I think.
Salida Stove and Spa, that's it. And wanting to get his hot tub fixed, kind of seeing when he could make it happen. At 7:15 p.m., Suzanne tells Jeff that they can talk on WhatsApp. And this is on LinkedIn. So there's a lot of messages on LinkedIn and then WhatsApp. Mm-hmm. And at 7:15, I guess at the same time, they were at Safeway, and then they were picking up pizza at Moonlight Pizza.
Because she eventually did go to the work site, they checked it out, they ran a few more errands, and then went to go get pizza, which at the very beginning, this was the last known spot that people had seen Suzanne out, was that Friday night, when they went to go get the pizza.
Yeah. And then Suzanne had wrote to Jeff Libler. He's finally gone for a bit, and I don't know exactly. Maybe she was waiting in the car while he picked up the pizza, waiting in line. I'm not really exactly sure about that. Between 8 and 9 p.m., Facebook codes were reset that day.
On Suzanne's profile.
On Suzanne's Facebook profile. And at 8:21, she had told Jeff Libler she had a fine night, it was quiet, they got pizza, and looked at some houses around town for sale. Still talking about Arizona between her and Barry. So I don't know if Barry and Suzanne were talking about moving to Arizona. I'm not exactly sure. They didn't kind of go into detail about that in the courtroom. At 9:04 p.m., a lot of people were friend requested, 23 in total. 20 were men on Suzanne's Facebook page or profile. And also a message from Jeff Libler, I guess, said that you look good in biking gear, you need to be my wife. I don't know exactly if that was exactly at 9 o'clock or if that was just sometime that day he had messaged her that. On Saturday, May 9th, this is the day that investigators believe Suzanne was killed, or this is the last known photo, proof of life is what they called it, of Suzanne. There was 59 communications between Suzanne and Jeff Libler that day. Suzanne had sent messages to her best friend Sheila about her daughter's wedding the following day, so on Mother's Day. Suzanne was planning on, I think they had like a Facebook Live about her best friend's daughter's wedding. Do you have any questions?
Someone's asking why Barry called Jean Mormon a few days before she went missing. I don't know if they ever specified why. They just kind of brought it up. And I want to say that was one of the first times they had seen a call between the two of them. Like when they were looking through Barry's call history and like his phone activity, that was the first time that had popped up, Jean Mormon, in a really long time.
Mm-hmm. So there were 2 calls that early Saturday morning at 12:02 a.m., an incoming call, and then an outgoing call at 2:17 a.m. So this was according to the defense from a cast report, and they didn't go into much detail about this, but speaking to some other people, I've heard that you can get incoming calls or notifications of an incoming or outgoing call, but it could be coming from like an app. Like if someone's messaging you on Facebook or, or someone's trying to call you on Facebook or WhatsApp, that could be what that means. And then Barry Morphew doesn't have a call until a little after 6 a.m. At 6:46 a.m., Barry's phone is turned into airplane mode. Or wait.
No, he turned it off.
Turned it off of airplane mode. Yeah. So I guess overnight he had it on airplane mode. At 7:19 a.m., he's receiving a phone signal. And then at 7:22 a.m. until 10:05 a.m., the truck is at the Tailwinds job site, which is in Poncha Springs. He was working on a job there. I know, talking with Morgan Gentile, she was working at the County Road 105 property that morning, which is east of Salida.
Just to clarify, too, I've seen a few people asking, one of the things that we're hoping to find out tomorrow that you guys are asking about is how they went from declaring her a missing person to then saying that she was dead and, having all these charges on Barry. That's one thing we haven't figured out yet, so we're hoping that gets brought up tomorrow, because a lot of what happened in the first 2 days was looking at a lot of text messages and phone data
leading
tracking.
Up to the day of her disappearance.
Yes, so we haven't gotten to that yet.
Yeah, we haven't even gotten to, Barry Morphew, the supposedly evidence inside the hotel room that he had stayed at, so there's still so much to be talked about in the courtroom. Okay, so where was I? 9:33 a.m., Suzanne sends a text message to Barry saying it's about this house in Salida for sale. And at 9:46 a.m., Barry says in a text, "Hey!" exclamation point, whatever. At 9:49 a.m., Barry calls Suzanne for 14 seconds, I guess. They weren't on the phone long. 9:50 a.m., Barry texts Suzanne, "Want to go on a hike?" At 9:52 a.m., she responds, where? No response from Barry. And then also she asks about summer tires on her Range Rover. And then at 10:36 a.m., Suzanne sends a text to Barry, "Want to meet to hike?" And at 10:48 a.m., Barry says, "No, coming home." At 10:49 a.m., Suzanne says to Barry, "Get hot tub stuff." At 11 a.m., Barry has worked on the Tailwinds property, so he must have just left the Tailwinds property. And at 11:30 a.m., he returns home, according to data from his truck.
Yep, and where his cell phone was pinging and different things like that.
This is information that was said in the court the first 2 days, if you're just tuning in. We're going over the timeline. So at 11:50 a.m. until 12:50 p.m., his phone is pinging near a trailer park, and he says to investigators that he's looking for this turkey that Mallory had shot some time ago. I guess he was looking for its beard. It's a part of the turkey.
Yeah. But he was just going back to see if he could find it and get that part.
Which is kind of inconsistent from what I had looked over my notes to what he had told CBI. He had told in CBI that he went home and ate veggie soup with Suzanne. Mm-hmm. And at 12:55 p.m., he texts Tim Clow about a backhoe.
Which is the part for his truck.
No. His Bobcat.
Okay.
His skid steer.
Yeah.
At 1:38 p.m., he leaves and calls Tim about buying the backhoe attachment, and then he called Justin Cabrari, I think that's his name, to change the blade on his Bobcat. So maybe the backhoe is something different. I'm not really great at construction equipment.
It's some sort of piece for a big machine.
Yeah. At 1:55 p.m., I guess the door to his truck is opened, and he's at the DSI lot where he used to work, and he's getting the blade replaced. And this is very interesting because Jeff Puckett, who we interviewed, told us that. He said, he had seen or had heard Barry being at DSI property at 2 o'clock getting his a blade replaced on his Bobcat when he had told Morgan he needed to spend time with Suzanne. So it was just different,
So some people are asking about him wanting to get the hot tub fixed, and if you think there's a possibility she was drowned.
That's interesting. I mean, they haven't talked about if they've, they haven't talked about evidence found in the hot tub yet. So that might be something that would be brought up in the days to come,
Because that is something the DA said was when the defense kept talking about the fact that there was no blood, the DA made it very clear that there are other ways a person can be killed that don't involve blood, so that could very well be a possibility, but none of that's been brought up yet, at least.
People were curious if it was Barry on Suzanne's phone asking about the hot tub stuff, and that's not. It was supposedly Suzanne texting Barry to get the hot tub stuff.
Yeah.
And we don't know exactly what that means. If that means a part to the hot tub, or if that means chlorine, or whatever they use chemically wise to have the hot tub, we don't know. So at where was I? Okay, so he's getting the blade replaced at DSI. He also, after that, meets with Kim, who owns a gym, about some landscaping work that she wanted done. And then at 1:38, so a little before he is getting his Bobcat blade replaced, Suzanne is texting, Jeff Libler, guess who's alone again? And then at 2:03, Suzanne sends Jeff Libler another message on LinkedIn saying to get on WhatsApp. So, and WhatsApp is you have to explain it to me. It's like an app where if you're overseas, it's an easier way to communicate where it doesn't charge you an extreme amount of money, for
like it's not going to charge you data or anything like that. It's communicate with people internationally, phone and cell service and stuff.
Yeah. So this is also the time where this is the last known photo of Suzanne alive. So this is the proof of life at 2:03 or 2:04. She sends a picture of herself sunbathing at the Morphew property, which is off of Puma Path in Maysville, Colorado. And at 2:04, Jeff's still messaging her, how did you get a loan? And Suzanne replies, he's always gone somewhere, it never stops. And then at 2:06, Jeff sends a message, which is, I think, very interesting. This is an important message, I think, is cleaning out outside, wife went to Costco, daughter went on a run, want to get down and strip naked with you. Suzanne says, oh man, can you talk or video? I can load up the WhatsApp. He messaged back, check on his kids, see if he is able to. I don't know what that meant.
Maybe he
that's
didn't say
wrong.
that. He's just saying that he checked on his kids to see if he was able
Oh,
to.
yes. Yeah. So maybe, yeah. So Jeff, yeah, I guess this is what he told investigators. He checked on his kids to see if he was able to. At 2:11, this is the last communication that Suzanne had sent to Jeff Libler. Okay, I'm on WOAH, which I think is the WhatsApp.
I guess, yeah.
The WOA, I don't know. So that's 2:11 is the last known communication that Suzanne had. That's really important. So the 2:04-ish time period is the last known photo of Suzanne sunbathing, and then at 2:11 is the last known communication. And
just to clarify again for everybody, because I've seen a few more people ask, this will not be live streamed. But somebody did ask if you are in Salida, this will be at the fairgrounds. They are going to broadcast it at the fairgrounds. So if you are in Salida, that is an option, but it will not be available online for people to watch.
And people need to realize this will probably be the last time we'll hear evidence, or a lot of the evidence, before the actual trial, because there's going to still be, like, if you know, the judge continues with the process, I mean, he could drop all charges. I don't know. He has to listen to the rest of the preliminary hearing and decide if the charges were deemed appropriate for what the state has. And if that is the case, then it will continue, and there will be an arraignment, which Barry Morphew will decide if he wants to take a plea or not. And then it will continue, and obviously there could be motions filed and things like that could slow down the process, but then it would eventually get to trial. Anyway, so we know that the last proof of life is at 2:04, and the last communication Suzanne had was at 2:11 p.m. on Saturday, May 9th. 2:26 p.m., Barry calls Suzanne 11 times. 11 times. That's a lot. At 2:39 p.m., Jeff Libler had sent a message to Suzanne saying, "My gang is home," and she never responded.
Meaning his wife and kids were back.
Yeah. At 2:44 p.m., Barry returns home, and his truck from the data from the truck doesn't move until 4:44 p.m. Did you see the last? Yeah, someone is asking, did you see the last Mountain Jam 71? Yes, we did see the last photo of Suzanne. Was she wearing a beaded necklace? Can you remember that?
So I don't think
so. Her hair was like down on, like, over her shoulders.
She was basically laying on her stomach, so when she took the picture, you could really only see, like, from here up, like when you're laying on your stomach, you can really only see her face. I don't remember seeing anything.
I couldn't even see a bathing suit. Like, I couldn't tell if she was wearing a spaghetti strap bathing suit or a halter. I couldn't even describe what the swimsuit was. So I'm not sure. I wonder if they're going to show that photo again. When they did show the photo, it was very emotional. A lot of
it was really hard for the girls.
The daughters were very emotional. So someone's saying, where did you see it? It was in the courtroom on the first day?
Yeah, if not the second.
Yeah.
It was probably the first, because that's when they focused on the affair a lot more.
Yeah, it was on the first day. And this is a sunbathing, picture that she had taken on Saturday, May 9th, to Jeff Libler on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
And, okay, so back to the timeline. 2:47 p.m., sporadic movement around the home from Barry Morphew's phone data. And phone turns into airplane mode, and it doesn't turn off of airplane mode until 10:17 p.m. And this is when, I guess, in an interview in February, Barry had told investigators the reason why he was moving sporadically around the home for 3 or 4 minutes was because he was shooting chipmunks. And they said, he said something like 85 chipmunks?
Yeah.
And I know he's an avid hunter, and we were talking to some friends tonight, and they were saying, like, they hunt all the time, and It's something where you stay in one place
Yep.
and you shoot things. You don't
When you hunt,
run.
you don't move.
Yeah, so that was interesting that they had mentioned that, and they're avid hunters. So, and Barry's supposedly, he told me he was an avid hunter, so he would have known, you know, not to chase chipmunks, I guess.
People are wondering if the girls have been talked to or questioned about the affair or just a lot of this.
So they had told us that the girls, or maybe just Mallory, had been spoken to by investigators early on in the investigation, but we're talking maybe the first couple days, and that was it. They haven't done a formal interview, it doesn't sound like.
Yeah.
Okay.
So one person is suggesting that he was chasing Suzanne, and that was
That's what investigators believe.
yeah, but that was a huge thing that the defense brought up, because if you look at the times that each one of those pings came up, they're only 1 second apart, and they did the math. Barry would have had to be going 60 miles an hour through walls of his
45.
home.
45.
Some of them were, yeah. But either way, he'd be having to go faster than humanly possible through walls of the house to get to each of those. But then immediately after the defense brought that up, she then also mentioned the fact that those aren't always accurate. So he could have been in different spots, but that's something that they fought against.
Do you know what trailer park he was at?
Thank you, Desiree.
Yeah, we've been to that trailer park. I spoke with people there. It's not really a trailer park, it's an RV park. I hope I didn't say trailer park. It's an RV park.
Yeah.
About him going, you know, trying to find the turkey that Mallory had shot the day before. And they haven't really explained what investigators believe he was doing then. But it was about an hour he was near or around the river that's behind their home, looking for this turkey, supposedly.
Yeah.
Okay, back to the timeline. What is the RV park name? Do you remember?
No, I could probably look it up.
Can you real quick?
Yeah.
But he specifically said when he spoke with investigators, if you haven't found her yet, to go look at that RV park because it's suspicious. You know, I don't know. It's very curious. From 4 to 5 p.m., the owner of Salida Stove and Spa said that they had spoken to Barry Morphew. But investigators that took the stand, former FBI agent Johnny Grusing had told the defense that they think that the owner had the wrong time. And I looked it up and I saw that, it was, the store closed at 2 p.m. on Saturday. So I don't know if they were open specifically later that day or what happened, because that Salida Stove and Spa, you know, on Saturdays is scheduled to close at 2 p.m. So that wouldn't, there's no way that they could have been, or Barry could have been there from 4 to 5:30. And if, you know, Suzanne had texted around, what was it, 10:49 a.m. to get the hot tub stuff, you would think that he would get it on his way home, which would be in the morning before they closed at 2 p.m. So we haven't heard from the owner. They're not going to take the stand. We're just going to hear from investigators. So at 5:33 p.m., this is something that's...
This is still Saturday night.
Yeah. Truck power is removed and system reboot under the dash of his truck. And they kind of asked the investigator kind of what that meant, and he didn't really know. He said that's kind of beyond what he learned about all the data that you can collect from the truck. At 9:25 p.m., his truck gear is shift, and he goes into reverse the truck for 95 feet in the driveway. But then his truck doesn't move from that coordinates until 3:49 a.m. And then again, we had mentioned earlier that his cell phone went back off of airplane mode at 10:17, and it was at the house, pinged. We did look up the RV park. It's called Monarch Spur RV Park, and it's really close to their house. I mean, they don't have a road to get to it. You have to kind of go back on County Road 225 out to Highway 50 and then down.
Yeah.
So there's not a road to it, but... Okay, so now we're on Sunday, May 10th, when Suzanne was reported missing. Okay. I guess there was data from both of Suzanne and Barry's phone that was at the house from 10:17 p.m. until 3 a.m. So investigators believe the phones are there at the house. 10:53 a.m. Suzanne's phone makes an outgoing call to whom? I don't know who.
2:53.
2:53. Sorry, what did I say?
10.
Oh, sorry. I'm so sorry. 2:53. And this is according to the defense. Again, this could be something like a WhatsApp or something like that. At 3:25 a.m., I need some water.
Oh, yeah.
3:25 a.m., driver door opens and closes on Barry's truck. So he had told investigators, I didn't leave until 5 and I said goodbye to her in bed. Thank you.
Welcome.
4:10 a.m., Suzanne phone pings, like a partial ping, like around that area where they live. And then at 4:22 a.m., Suzanne's phone pings for the last time from the Poncha Springs Tower. So, the state's asking, like, how is her phone pinging the Poncha Springs Tower when she's supposedly in bed sleeping, like what Barry had told in the beginning. Do you want to do the next one?
Yeah. So then at 4:31, Barry's phone went into airplane mode again. And in the first interview that he did, he said that he set his alarm for 4:30, and he had already loaded the truck the night before, so everything was already ready for the day because he was going to go to Broomfield for work.
His phone pings in Johnson Village at 4:57 a.m. and then at 5:37 a.m. he's heading towards Buena Vista and texted his mother Happy Mother's Day. And then at 6:56 a.m. he texts Suzanne saying, "You up? Happy Mother's Day. I love you." And this text is near Bailey, Colorado. So he's on his way to Broomfield. At 8:10 a.m., he's seen on surveillance video at the RTD bus stop in Broomfield, and he's making a trash run. Now, this is what they named trash number 1. And that bus stop where he had parked and where the trash can was only a few feet away. But his truck was parked there for 2 minutes. So from 8:10 until 8:12, his truck was parked there. And he was on surveillance video or whatever, photos that they had shown in the courtroom, him pushing something into the trash there. And at 8:25, he's arriving at the Holiday Inn Express Hotel, which is in Broomfield. He parks on the south side. There's no video on that side at the time.
There's surveillance around the entire building and parking lot except for where he parked.
Okay. Then he walks into the hotel. There's, we're seeing in the courtroom photos from the surveillance video. And
he said the reason he parked there where there's no surveillance was because it was like near one of those side doors, and he was waiting for somebody else to come out so that he could go in early and get a free breakfast.
Yeah, he's wearing a long sleeve shirt in this first photo of him walking in. And at 9:07 a.m., he's seen again taking...
Right there.
Oh, sorry, I missed a spot. Okay. At 8:38 a.m.,
so about 10 minutes after he gets to the hotel.
So he's like checking in and, goes to the, his truck to get whatever he wants to bring up to the hotel room. 8:38 a.m., he's seen walking into the hotel room with hiking boots, a teal covered garment like in his hand, and then a light blue duffel bag and some other items in his hand. I think there was also like a big binder of like disheveled papers.
Well, that was later, but yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
There was a lot of him going in and out of the hotel room. So he leaves at 9:07 a.m. He has a Target bag in hand and he's making a trash run to the hotel dumpster. And this is what they call trash run number 2. Then at 9:12, he exits the lobby and gets into his truck. And at 10:10 a.m., he, I guess, well, from 9:12 until 10, that doesn't make sense. Well, so between there, from leaving the hotel, he goes to the Broomfield Wall to see the job site. And then he goes to McDonald's,
because he never actually parks. He just goes to the site, never parks his car, never turns it off, just kind of drives around it and then leaves.
And this is trash number 3. He goes to McDonald's and throws and stuffs something with both hands down into the or into the trash can there. And this is according to surveillance photos again. And I guess what he had told investigators, what he had thrown away was some wrappers. I don't know. But then after that, he gets a car wash, which is right behind the McDonald's in Broomfield. And then at 11:20 a.m., he supposedly calls Suzanne, according to the defense. And then around this time, he goes to make another trash run. This is trash number 4. And he goes to Men's Warehouse parking lot. And this trash run is 40 minutes long. Mm-hmm. And I'm telling you, I'm from that area. There's a lot of buildings in that area at Men's Warehouse, but they're empty. They've been vacated. There used to be a Nordstrom Rack there. There was a Fidelity building, and some other shopping centers. But really, there's only a toy shop, a Men's Warehouse, and now like a workout place. Anyway, so this is trash number 4, around 11:20 or 11 o'clock a.m. And then at 11:30, he walks back to the hotel room. He has the disheveled papers, like I was in his hand.
It's like a giant binder folder thing.
And he leaves with a gray shirt on. And I think before this, he left with a black shirt on.
Yeah,
because there was a long sleeve shirt, a black shirt, and then a gray shirt.
Yeah. So
he changes outfits every time to make trash runs. Yeah. So the first time he was wearing long sleeve shirts when he gets into the hotel room. Then he leaves and has a black, just like a black
like
t-shirt.
A t-shirt, yeah.
And then the second time it was a V-neck gray shirt.
Yeah. And
then at 12:06 p.m., he calls Mallory from the work site and stays at the work site for like 10 to 15 minutes. Yeah. He leaves hotel room. This is, again, I don't know why I said this twice. With the gray shirt. He has, I don't know why I wrote this so many times. Sorry. So he allegedly just removed the top blocks of the retaining wall, which we had learned from the investigators that, well, I had found this out earlier too from talking to people who worked at the Garrett Construction Company, that, you have to redo that retaining wall that he said he had to do that Sunday. You had to have that bobcat. You had to have the blocks.
Because he had to dig under the retaining wall to, like, physically move it and, like,
you had to
pick it up.
Fix the blocks completely because it was uneven. It wasn't straight. The wall was not straight that he needed to fix from a job he had done previously in October. And then I had found out that the city of Broomfield, you cannot work on a Sunday or a holiday.
And that was both.
Mm-hmm. And so that was another thing. And he, according to Garrett Construction Company, he knew that from taking some type of course or something like that, or he knew that. So he shouldn't have been working there. But his workers didn't even show up till late Sunday, so they didn't even work on the job until Monday. Yeah. But they, talking to Jeff Puckett, he was like, we had nothing to work with. We had no blocks. We had no tools.
They had hand tools. Yeah. That was all Barry had. Like, she'll probably get to it here in a second, but later you see him after he gets the call about Suzanne when he's leaving the hotel. He says he wants to leave a few tools because he's going to have more workers come. And all he leaves is like a shovel, a rake, and just like some small little hand tools. And again, because he's done this already, he should know none of those are going to help fix that wall at all. So the fact that he didn't have any bigger machinery or anything like that to leave anybody, I don't know what work he was really able to do.
Okay, so at 12:42 p.m., this is trash run number 5. and it's at the hotel dumpster. He has two bags to the he takes 2 bags to the dumpsters, throws away, I guess it was like a camo coat and a tree shrub is what the investigators thought.
Yeah, it kind of looks like a little bucket thing.
Yeah.
I guess.
At 3:30 p.m., he texts Suzanne to call him at 3:30 p.m. And then at 5:15, he received a call from Martin Ritter, which is the neighbor, who eventually called the non-emergency number for a welfare check on Suzanne that day.
Because Mallory had said that she hadn't heard from her in a day or two, and so somebody needed to check on her.
Well, then my question is, at 5:55 p.m., he gets a call from Martin Ritter saying we still can't find, Suzanne.
Yeah.
Why doesn't he hang up immediately and then call himself?
Yeah.
Investigators or, the Chaffee County Sheriff's Office.
Yeah. That was one thing they said, was that Barry never called 911. It was everyone else that made the calls. Barry never did.
At 5:38 p.m., deputy with the Chaffee County Sheriff's Office was called about Suzanne, the missing person report. And then a few, he's one of the people on the scenes that finds Suzanne's bike as well. This is interesting, which I don't know if Chaffee County Sheriff's Office had this wrong in the initial press release or if it was like a typo or something. But in the first press release that they ever sent out, it said 5:46 p.m. Chaffee County Communications Center received a report of a missing female in the area on County Road 225 and West Highway 50. I want to know if it was 5:36 p.m. Because why would the deputy be called out at 5:38 p.m.?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so I think maybe there might have been. Anyways, so at 5:55 p.m., he leaves the hotel room. Despite he had told investigators early on he was at the job site when he got the 911 call. Or not the 911 call. The call that, they
said she was missing.
Yeah, said that she was missing. And he later, in another interview with investigators, he backed up on his story and was like, oh wait, I was actually in the hotel room watching Fox or maybe, basketball, despite telling investigators the first time he was actually at the job site. And then at 6 p.m., you can see him in surveillance photos leaving the tools. He takes 3 trips back and forth to his truck, leaving tools in the front lobby.
Yeah. And I just want to clarify, somebody had asked why people are saying, but a lot of the text messages that Suzanne was sending to Sheila Oliver, her friend, were talking about episodes where they were fighting and Barry would threaten to jump out of the car if they didn't stop arguing. Or there was another incident where he pushed Suzanne into a closet and then held a gun to his own head saying, is this what you want? So it's a lot of things like that I'm sure are prompting comments of that sort. Oh my gosh,
Wow,
JLL.
Thank you so much for that. We really appreciate that. Yeah, we have to get to bed pretty soon because we have a long day ahead of us. But we're trying to get through the timeline, and then we're going to do a quick preview of what's to come the next 2 days.
Maybe answer 1 or 2 questions.
Yeah. So we're almost done with May 10th. And then, so he leaves the hotel room at 6 o'clock. He leaves the tools in the hotel lobby. Jeff Libler also had sent a message to Suzanne this day saying Happy Mother's Day. Hoped she had spent it with her girls, and that he knew it was going to be a hard day because of her mother, because she misses her mother so much. But again, there was no response that day.
Yeah.
We see on body cam video in the courtroom of Miles, one of the daughter's boyfriends. He is at the Morphew home looking for Suzanne.
Yeah.
He comes out of the garage. At 6:38 p.m., Barry calls Suzanne, according to defense. So the defense is saying he made multiple attempts to try to talk to Suzanne or, get a hold of Suzanne that day. At 7:10 p.m., Deputy Brown reaches Barry Morphew on the phone, I think asking him, what type of clothes does she wear? What type of bike is it? Yeah, because on the body cam video, the bike was found at 7:35 p.m. according to the stamp on the video.
Yeah.
Body cam video. So it's within a few half hour, like what? So she was reported at 5:46 p.m. And at 7:35 they find the bike.
Yeah.
So that's only a few hours. That's only 2 hours, yeah. And then 8:46 p.m. Barry Morphew arrives at the bike scene, and we see the surveillance or the body cam video of him coming home and him coming out of the door of his truck and saying, "Was there a crash?" You know, and he's a little emotional too there. Someone gave us something. Aw, thank you, Lillian. We
Thank
appreciate
you.
that. Oh, shoot. We're still trying to get used to this. How far is Pontius Springs from their house? It's about, what, 15 minutes?
Yeah.
It's
It's a pretty short drive.
Yeah, it's not too far. Okay, so now we're on to Monday, May 11th. 1 a.m. Barry Morphew is interviewed until 1 a.m., it looks like. This is the first search warrant for the Morphew home, and the Morphew home was under a search warrant until May 20th. That's a long time. So that's 9 days the Morphew home was being looked at by investigators. They did ask Barry one time to go into the house and to point to clothes that the dogs could sniff to get a scent of Suzanne to go look for her. And it was only a few minutes that Barry was allowed in the home. Suzanne also missed. So Suzanne was recovering from cancer, and she had cancer for the second time. She had it in college, and then she had it this time. But she had been in remission, and so she had a maintenance treatment that day. So she missed her maintenance treatment on Monday, May 11th. Also, Jeff Libler also messaged Suzanne on the treatment days, but again, no response. Something like good luck or, but no response. Tuesday, May 12th, there was a search warrant issued for Barry's truck. He had described it as he said it was messy in the cab and the truck bed.
Like a typical work truck, there's probably stuff all over the back of it.
Yeah, and then 2 canine handlers searched it, the Morphew home as well as the Barry's truck, but we don't know exactly what type of canine handlers it was. This was also the day that Jeff was sent a link about Suzanne missing, and he gets rid of all of his accounts.
Yep, all the WhatsApp, LinkedIn, all of them, he turned them all off.
Yeah, deleted them.
Yep.
June 2nd, 2020, investigators learn about Jeff, but doesn't know who that person is from a conversation they had found from the spy pen from February of 2020. Yep. And the defense had mentioned there was 50 search warrants before knowing about Jeff Libler. July 8th, investigators asked to bring pizza to talk with Barry, but Barry was, I guess, in the process of putting on steaks, and so he said, I'll just put a couple more on for you guys. So he welcomed them, come talk with me. And this is also a day that investigators also interviewed Sheila, one of Suzanne's best friends. July 9th through the 10th. This is the second search warrant of the home. They took hundreds of photos and numerous items were seized from the house. On the 9th, there were 28 law enforcement officers that were inside the home investigating, 14 of which were FBI agents. The 10th, there was 18 law enforcement officers, 10 of which were FBI agents. August 5th and October, they interviewed Sheila again. And then November, Barry told Holly, who was a friend of Suzanne as well, that he would harm someone who would have Suzanne in their basement. So like an abduction story, he's talking about it. If I find this guy, I'm going to shoot him in the balls and shove them down his throat if he were to find him. November 6th, Holly, this friend of Suzanne, was really asking Barry, like, what was the last thing you said to Suzanne? And supposedly Barry, we haven't heard any of this audio. I guess Holly had recorded all their conversations with Barry.
Thank you, Lynn.
No, I didn't see it. Thank you. The November 13th is when investigators asked Jeff Libler about the affair, and he asked if he was a target in the investigation, and law enforcement said no. Obviously they checked out where he was, and according to cell phone data and his family and witnesses and his credit card, that he was in Michigan when Suzanne went missing.
Yep.
So he's not considered a suspect. February 28th, 2021. This is the interview with Barry Morphew where he had mentioned shooting chipmunks on May 9th, and that's why his phone was pinging all around the home. Defense believes that there's no way he could have been going so fast. March of 2021, investigators asked about the search history on Barry Morphew's phone, or Barry Morphew's phone, and I think some computers in the home. I guess he had been searching for, well, they don't know if it was him or if it was someone in the house. They were searching for Ashley Madison and porn sites and Find a Cute Girl in Salida.
That was one thing that the defense tried to mention, was the fact that everybody in the family was kind of on a shared either plan or account of some sort. So they were implying that it could have been anybody looking up those sites, including the one that said Find a Cute Girl in Salida, that it could have been anybody in the family that was part of the plan.
Yeah. So April 5th and April 22nd are the last known interviews with Barry Morphew before he got arrested on May 5th. And again, May 5th, I'll never forget that day because I was, I was at my sister's house. I was, hanging out with her, and people were telling me, they just saw Barry Morphew get arrested off of Highway 50, and I was like, what? So I, looked up on cohorts what was going on, and sure enough, there were 3 charges against Barry Morphew, and so that's when we booked it. We booked it here because there was a presser at 4, and we hadn't had a presser in a year. Really?
Yeah.
I mean,
there was the first one the day either the day after she was reported missing, and then
no. The presser was May 10th because it was the day after the Highway 50 was closed. For the search, because that was Thursday was when the bike helmet was found, and then they had the big search on Friday and closed down the highway on Highway 50, and that's when the one and only presser before May 5th happened. Anyways, so we have gone through the timeline of the short, that was a lot, but if you missed earlier, we went through January of 2020 until the last known interview with Barry Morphew from all our notes from the courtroom. So let's talk about what these next 2 days could be about. I do not think the witnesses I think they're going to be investigators. I don't think the state is going to risk putting people on the stand that are going to be cross-examined by the defense that aren't used to being cross-examined. So that means like Sheila, Oliver or Jeff Libler. I don't think these people, or Morgan Gentile or Jeff Puckett, I don't think these people, or George Davis, I don't think these people are going to take the stand. I think it's going to be investigators. And we haven't heard from any Chaffee County sheriff's officers at all. And they were the first people that were there. And so I think we're going to hear from an investigator with the Chaffee County Sheriff's Office. And I think we're going to we haven't heard from CBI yet either. And they're one of the 3 agencies. So I think we're going to hear from CBI. And, the FBI agent, former FBI agent Johnny Grusing, he was still on the stand when they ended day 2 of the preliminary hearing, and so I don't think they dismissed him, so I think he could be called up as well. And I believe the defense wanted to hear from Commander Walker again, the first person who took the stand, so I think he'll be called again. We still haven't heard any evidence of the hotel room.
Yeah.
You know, obviously they searched that area, I'm sure.
Mm-hmm.
We haven't heard any audio of any interviews that Barry Morphew did. So maybe we'll hear some audio. What else could we find out? There's so much. I mean, again, this affidavit's still unsealed.
Yeah.
Or sorry, the
Sealed.
affidavit is sealed.
Yes.
It has not been unsealed. So we still have not been able to read the affidavit, and it's 130 pages, which the judge even said this is the largest affidavit he's ever seen. So what are some questions we can answer? I think also, I mean, obviously the state needs to really hone in on why do they think that Suzanne is not alive?
Yep.
And how do they connect it to Barry? I mean, obviously...
He's been a suspect from day one, so what's tying them to him?
Mm-hmm.
What do they have?
I mean, obviously 5 trash runs and him going back and forth with his statements to law enforcement is, you know, interesting. So,
somebody named Philip in the chat said he was in jail with Barry.
Oh.
So everyone's trying to get some info out of him.
Someone's asking if will Tyson Draper be called. I don't think he'll be called today or tomorrow. I mean, it's like, what day is it again? Still 2 more days. I'm trying to read some questions. Sorry, we're having to pause it for the prosecution, or is it? And people need to realize that the state just has to prove that these charges are the charges that they have evidence for. So they don't have to choose a reasonable doubt yet. They just have to show probable cause. I want to know who signed off on the affidavit.
Yeah. Because
I think that's telling. Was it this judge, or was it, you know, a different judge? So is this the first time this Judge Patrick Murphy, is hearing all of this evidence? Or if he's already read the affidavit? I gotta sneeze. I'm about to sneeze.
Cucumbers. It doesn't work. That trick doesn't work.
Sorry. I knew it was coming. I have really bad allergies. People who know me, they know I have to have allergies shots. So, yeah, turning on the airplane mode, that's really interesting.
And who turns on airplane mode for that amount of time? Most people only do it when you're on an airplane.
I thought that's what it was for, was only when you're on an airplane.
Yeah.
But
who turns their phone on airplane mode for 5+ hours?
Sorry, someone says that sneeze rocked. Oh, thanks, Gonzo. So, I will be tweeting live. I will be tweeting as much as I can. You do have to remember, I'm writing notes. I'm also preparing for my live hits with the station. So I'm writing scripts, and I'm also tweeting. And I'm also writing a web article. So it's a lot. I need to still do that tonight. Yeah. So, but I will be live tweeting as much as I can. If you send me a message, or if you tweet at me, I might not see it. I will see it at some point. I'm sorry if I haven't responded to you. I will try as much as I can to do so.
The Bobcat.
Yeah, someone's asking if the Bobcat was not involved in Suzanne's disappearance, and so far they have said it was not involved in the disappearance. They even put a tracker on the Bobcat early in to May, so they had been tracking his Bobcat early on. But that's kind of, it was just like a touch and go. They didn't elaborate much on that. Any more questions, guys? We gotta get off here and go to bed so we can get ready for tomorrow. We're gonna
people are asking what time does it start tomorrow? Maybe your Twitter handle too.
Yeah, so my Twitter handle is @LaurenScharf, and it's spelled Lauren, Lauren, Scharf, S as in Sam, CHARF TV. So that is my handle, @LaurenScharf TV, and I will be tweeting as much as I can. The courtroom, we're supposed to start at 8, so hopefully it will start at 8. I will for sure be in the courtroom. I'm not so sure about her yet. We'll have to see.
We're gonna try. Fingers
There's
crossed.
there's only a few seats. So last time there was only 8 seats that was available for the public. But again, if you're in Chaffee County and you want to watch and you want to listen for yourself, and they do have WebEx that's being sent to the fairgrounds in Chaffee County that you can watch. So if you don't get into the courtroom, you know, you can go there. Anything else? Suzanne's family should be there, right? Okay, so people are asking if Suzanne's family. So that's what was mentioned in the courtroom the last day. Was that August 10th? Yeah, August 10th. They had said that Suzanne's family, the Mormons, were expected to be there, but I have not heard that anyone is coming. So I think they're still watching from WebEx. And I think that's out of respect for the daughters. They just want to not cause any drama in the courtroom or anything like that. So, and I do believe Barry's sisters are gonna be there, his mom, his daughters. So I have not. People have been asking me if I've seen Trevor Knoll in the courtroom. He has not been there. No. Okay, we're gonna head out. We're gonna go to bed. That was a lot. We went through the timeline. If you missed it, once I publish this, you can go back and forth and watch it over if you missed it. I started in January of 2020 and went through my notes, and whenever they mentioned a date or a time, I put it on this timeline that I just went through. And we're gonna have 2 big days in courtroom for Barry Morphew in the preliminary hearing. So please tune in to my tweets at Lauren Sharf TV. And I'll be live on Fox 21 News at 5 and 6:30.
We'll try to give you an update and do this again tomorrow night.
Sorry if I can't give it, if I can't give you a time of when I'm going to do this, because we both have to do stuff for the shows at night. So if you could subscribe, I think then you get a notification of when I go live. That's the best way. I'm sorry, that's the only way I can think of that you can get notification of when I get to do this. So I will try to do kind of a recap again. So every night I'll do that. So thank you so much for watching us, and see you guys tomorrow. Bye.